Get Valiant.
It's Get Valiant. What number is it?
Number 175.
Yeah.
The big 175.
That's it.
That's pretty big.
That is a pretty big number. We're coming up on 200. We're gonna have to
Yeah,
figure
we should
something
probably do
out.
an awesome giveaway like we did with episode 100 a few years back.
Yeah, we probably should.
Well, you know what? It took me about that many episodes to ever get stuff. So maybe I should put the request in now,
Yeah, hopefully we can do something for the number 200 when that happens. But yeah, episode number 175, we got a couple things to talk about. We're going to be talking about Rye number 7 that came out today. So
Yeah, I don't want you to spoil anything. Don't want you to spoil anything. So
I'm glad we had that spoiler alert.
I should have a mature audience warning there too, right?
yeah, well, you just need to have
Just right when
different.
Eric talks, just something happens, like explicit lyrics.
Yeah, exactly. Every time I start talking, some alarm goes off and I get cut off. Wah, wah. Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
It's out of love. It's out of love. Guys, we just can't trust Eric. You never know when he's going to tell you something and ruin the book for you. But we love the guy anyway. He's a big, cuddly animal, and he's our friend. But you're right, dude. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Little Rye, number 7, which has been a big, bright spot in the Valiant universe the last 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 issues, if you include Fallen World.
Yeah, Fallen World was great too. The other thing that happened was we did get solicits for December. I think it's really cool that. Oh my god.
But
I think it's really cool that Valiant is putting their solicits up on their own website and doing it on Wednesday so we can talk about it, as opposed to waiting till Thursday and letting Newsarama or whoever else drop it. So it gives us an opportunity to.
Those people.
Yeah, exactly. We're at least almost as cool.
Sorry,
but,
we're spoiling that for like the 20 of you watching. So it's amazing. But no, it's cool that we got some books coming, and we know that Rye's continuing and a little Bloodshot action.
No.
XO action.
There's not. Yeah, Exo Man of War.
The Man of War.
Yeah, as was said in the Ninjak Versus. Yeah, so the 2 books coming in December, unfortunately only 2 books still, but the 2 books coming in December are going to be Rye and Exo Man of War. I don't remember what number Rye's on. 10. Is it 10?
Yeah, that'll be 10. Yep.
And here's my concern. It's being solicited as the end of the arc. So my concern, which makes sense because the first arc was 5 issues. So if we get 5 issues out of the second arc, I'm cool with that. But I'm just worried because we have been teased that Bloodshot is coming back in January. And I'm sure Exo is going to continue into January with issue number 4. So I'm worried that Rye will go on a hiatus when Bloodshot comes back and we'll still only have 2 books. That's my concern. I really hope that doesn't happen. What I'm hoping is that we get Rye, Bloodshot, and Exo in January. Or if Rye does take a break, I hope that we get, Exo, Bloodshot, and a 3rd book. Whether that be Shadow Man or Final Witness or Savage. I don't really care. I would just love to get a 3rd book and, get a look at one of the new properties that's coming or continuation of the books that have already been coming out.
So if you didn't read the little synopsis on there, so it says The Wild Frontiers, right? Basically, it's saying it's Dan and Juan's thrilling climax of the sci-fi epic 2020. It's the final standoff. I think we're coming to an end to Rye.
It sounds like it, and I don't think.
Do you really think the title will be done?
It could be.
Well, not the end of Rye the character, but the end of this run with Dan on Rye. Yeah.
Oh, that would be brutal.
That would be really rough. We haven't had the sales to keep this book going, which is unfortunate. And I know everybody's struggling with sales right now, unless you have like a book that's just like a collector's speculatory type thing. But it's been the best book that Valiant's done. I mean, this book has been just like my favorite book the last year, and I think it's just as good as anything else that's been out there. So it's just too bad that we haven't had the readers to keep it going.
Yeah, because it's one of the better books out right now too. So definitely agree. There's been a lot of things out there with Greg and Matthew, and a couple things where they're teasing future stuff to come, that things are going to happen. So I would speculate that we get Dan on something. I don't think he's done with Valiant, and I hope he plays in the play box, the sand pit, whatever you want to call it, for a while.
Yeah, I'd love to see him do more with Valiant. That's something that I've been saying since he was doing Fallen World. I'd love to see him on an Eternal Warrior book with Galad and Tama. I'd love to see him really, I mean, you could hand him any of the properties and I think he'd do a phenomenal job.
Yep. Absolutely. And so here's kind of one thing I was speculating, because we only got 4 issues of the Visitor. We had 2 more Visitor issues left. There has to be something with that conclusion that leads to another book, is why we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's the only logical thing I see today.
Okay. I could see that.
Yeah. So
like the ending.
Yep.
The ending of it leads into something else.
Mm-hmm. It leads into the new Harbinger book. Something, and they can't announce that new Harbinger book just yet. That's kind of my theory. I don't even want to say it's crazy. I think it's kind of seems logical to me. Or Rye, it ties in with the end of Rye. I don't know, but it would have kind of correlated together at one point. There's something where it connects. So.
Yeah, I can see that.
The Visitor has to connect somewhere.
Yeah.
I think the way that the entire story was structured, it has to have some kind of payoff for the larger Valiant universe. There has to be that thing that kind of ties it in. But I mean, we've kind of speculated on that. I think every issue that's come out. I just wish that would come out though, because it seemed like that thing was going. And right now, I mean, I get having like 2 big books going out there, but then it kind of feels like we should have also had Exa going this entire time too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially with Visitor, as far as fan services, you've delivered 2/3 of the story and have it continue kind of to sit on the shelf like that. You know what I mean? I think for the fans, it's important to get that payoff of it. But I mean, and I believe that the Valiant team probably would agree with that as well. But I do believe there's something with that ending that connects to something in the future. So, to me, that makes the logical sense. Yeah. So, and sometimes it would be nice if you just heard that, right? Like the ending will give stuff away. We have to wait. Okay. Makes sense. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be good to know. Because if that is the case and they just said this ending is going to, like you said,
set up something.
Yeah, this ending's gonna melt your face. Yeah, this ending has some setup for a future book, or this ending has ramifications for the wider Valiant universe. So we're not releasing it until that piece is ready. Cool. Totally understandable that COVID would have gotten in the way of something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we look back at how The Life and Death of Toyo Harada was, that book came out a couple years after it should have come out, and by that time there had been changes done to the Valiant universe. Kozel was still around, and so it kind of was like, where's this at in the continuity, But if you were like a long-time reader, you knew where it fit in, So I think maybe there's a possibility that there's something like that where you're just like, wait, how does this fit in? Like, it seems like there's some books that have already been happening that it doesn't make sense on a timeline, but I feel like the continuity is not very tight right now anyway. So just put the book out.
Yeah, Bloodshot is our biggest continuity book right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately isn't saying a whole lot. Bloodshot's not super continuity tight, but it's better than nothing.
Well, I mean, Rye would be, within its own, right? Rye within its own continuity has been really good. And we'll
I'll agree with that
about that. So I think within 4001, the continuity there is really, really rich to that 4002 time frame. So
actually, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about when we get into Rye number 7 is some of that continuity bits. So I'm definitely looking forward to talking about that. But yeah, I don't know.
So what do you guys think about the news of Future Toys?
Yeah, that's awesome. So Matthew had said some things when he was on with us about action figures. He kind of made some little teasers about the potential of action figures and my Bloodshot action figure having some friends soon. And then I know Greg said in another interview that action figures are a thing that will be happening. And now in the back of Rye number 7, there was an interview with Matthew Klein. And one of the things that he said is that action figures are coming. So that's pretty awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to having some Valiant action figures. I think that's something that I've wanted for a really long time, and I think a lot of people are really interested in.
Yeah, I am definitely one of those people who is just chomping at the bit to have some action figures. I just think I want some merchandise that's not shirts, not face-shaped mugs, and also affordable, because I feel like a lot of stuff that's been statues has just been like full-size statues that range from a couple $100 to $500. A lot of the stuff like the Bloodshot bigger Johnny Depp looking action figure thing was like $200. I want some stuff that's cheap, man. The Bloodshot one, the Vin Diesel version, is like the only thing that we've had like that. So I'm all for it. I don't know how much of a fan base Valiant has that to support action figures. I hope it's a lot. I worry too much about like how much they like support they get for anything. But to me, it's just like I just hope that they're there so that it's not just like one run. We can just keep getting them. I'm not going to open them. They're just going to sit in packages, but I definitely am interested in getting that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm with you 100% on that. I've got an open Bloodshot, and that's about all I need opened up. I would totally buy and keep in the package, an Exo Manowar, a Galad. Yeah.
But is it going to be based in the movie, though? Are we going to get one of the characters? Are we going to get Sammy Dalton, or whatever his name is, Dalton, Chainsaw? Yeah, Sam Hugan.
I would, if I had to guess, I would say it'll be comic book related stuff. I feel like if we were going to get more of the movie stuff, that would have been released with the movie. So my guess, and obviously I don't know anything more than anybody else does, but if anything, I know less than other people. But my guess is that we would get comic related action figures.
Who would you want to see first? Like, if you could have like a wave of action figures come out, say it's like 4 characters. Who are your 4 characters they released for that first wave?
Ooh.
Bloodshot,
Exo?
Bloodshot, and Bloodhound.
Blood Squirt.
Okay.
Exo, Ninjak, Shadow Man, and Eternal Warrior.
So I would say Exo, Ninjak, Bloodshot, and Eternal Warrior.
Oh, we already.
See, I think they would throw in a female character. So I think we get Livewire. We get Exo Manowar. We get Bloodshot and Ninjak. Even though I'd rather have Shadow Man than Ninjak, I just think the stock's a little higher right now. And Ninjak, he's had a lot more adventures, I think, in the Valiant universe lately. So,
yeah. I mean, just talking about that, after just having the Faith young adult novel come out, I feel like Faith would be one of those ones that we definitely see in there. Just saying it. But they're not all made for us. They're made for a little bit of everybody.
Yeah.
So
they want everybody to have a favorite, and then they want those people to be like, okay, I got one. I need the other 3 or the other 5. I mean, if it's 6 figures or 8 figures, then it's like you can go hog wild as far as like, who's going to be in that first wave, Just make them good. Just make them awesome,
Go hog wild. I like it. Going buck wild. My notes say buck wild and drool. What do you want me to do with that? That is a Longmont Potion Castle reference for any of the folks out there who've ever heard of Longmont Potion Castle.
I don't know that.
Oh man, going buck wild in an elevator. We're gonna need about $187.
That sounds like a good time to me.
Oh man. But yeah, I don't know what they put out. I'm gonna be happy with pretty much whatever. I don't think it'll be movie related. I do think it'll be comic related. And I would be surprised if we get more than a small, like, core set. I think something like 4 figures makes a lot of sense. I'll be really curious to see what they put out. And I know odds are very good that I'll be getting whatever they come out with because I'm kind of a fan.
You don't say.
Especially if they're at that same price point that the Bloodshot was at, right? I think that's what made that really great, being at $20, $25. It hit a lot to where we could all get around it. We do have the statues coming around the corner with Bloodshot and Ninjak. That they look good. I'm glad they didn't go with the original art concepts and they updated them and they listened to the fans. And that was very, very nice change that they did to the face of Bloodshot on that. So yeah, as long as they're at a good price point, I'm sure I'll be picking up all of them, even if it is Faith, right? Like, or you know, so yeah.
Yeah, Scott's saying Exo, Galad, Pete Stanjak, and then Neela or Shadow Man. I think that would be a really good lineup. Pete Stanjak, I mean, especially if the action figures come around the time when Harbinger gets officially announced, I think that could make some sense. I would love a Neela figure because Neela's outfit looks awesome. And then hopefully that would also mean then that we're getting more Neela in the comics. Like if we got another Dr. Tomorrow series, oh my God, with more Neela and Ankh, I would be a huge fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say no to that.
You know who would be a funny like new delinquent pairing would be Neela and Ankh, and either one of the other delinquents, either one of the parents, but it would be those 4. You would get Quantum and Woody, Neela and Ankh, or you get Archer and Armstrong, Neela and Ankh. That would just be such a good, like, that would be fun.
I think it would be like a 3-way delinquents, though. I think it'd be a 3-way delinquents where you get all 3 couples,
yes,
or all 3 groups.
Yeah,
I think that Neela Ankh with Quantum and Woody sounds amazing because now all I can think of is the ridiculous hijinks Woody would get into if he was traveling through time. Like, can you imagine Woody given the ability to time travel? Like, we've already seen what he does with messages from the future. It doesn't really go well.
it would be great. And then you would have to spoof some Back to the Future there too. Yeah, because I mean those are just so fun. If you did that with the Doctor Who, got to get some Back to the Future, in time references.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. Agree.
Great crossover. Quantum and Woody with Shirtless Bear Fighter crossover. Yes. We talked about potential crossovers last time. Good call out, Dario. So
Oh yeah.
I'm with you, Dario. But yeah. So do we go ahead and talk about ride number 7?
So you're saying there's some spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to talk, am I? I was expecting another.
All right, that's enough foolish games, but we got to rock and roll. It is ride number 7. Ride number 7.
God.
We're spoiling it, guys, just to let you know. If you were
In
only
case
on
you didn't
audio,
catch that.
If you were only on audio, so read it, watch it, listen it, enjoy it. It's worth it. So, Dan Abnett killing it. Art continue. Juan Jose Rip, and then Dollhouse's colors continue to be phenomenal. So.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, well, since we just mentioned Dalhouse, if you read the Valiant newsletter, they did a little thing on Andrew Dalhouse. And, I feel like a lot of times we talk about colorists, but you don't see a lot of colorists get any kind of mention anywhere else. So if you want to read about Andrew Dalhouse, there's lots of information about the dude. So
because everyone else is assholes.
He did a big interview, and I don't remember who he did it with, which is unfortunate. But
I think that's the one that's in the email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they linked out to that.
He's a good dude. Read the interview. It's awesome.
And the great thing about it is, like, he's a phenomenal artist who, like we have said many a time on this podcast in the past, colorists really don't get a lot of recognition. I think that if you look at the difference, like, think about one example that pops to mind immediately is Exo Manowar. When we got the new Emilio Liso pages, they looked good. I was stoked about them. And then when we saw them with, who is it? Ruth Redmond? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
I think so.
Yeah. Ruth Redmond's colors over Emilio Liso's lines. Oh, just gorgeous. And it's the same thing when you see, like, Juan Jose Ripa from time to time will post images of his pencils and inks on Facebook. And they always look amazing. Like, he's a phenomenal artist, and his art by itself looks great. But then you add Dollhouse's colors to it, and it's, man, it just brings it to a whole other level. So I'm a big fan of Andrew Dollhouse. I think that he does a lot of amazing work with Valiant, and this comic in particular is extremely well done. One thing I'm really, really happy about. I'm really stoked. I don't know if we've had this specifically stated in the past, but we got a Psylocke call out in this one, right? She called herself Psylocke in this.
Psylocke.
Spylock.
What am I saying?
Psylocke. Like,
okay, it's clearly
from the
Spylock. Yeah, that's a different character. But she called herself Spylock.
So on this, are we in 4002?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so in 4001, the very first Rye, even I think it's Rye number 1, that she says she's only 15 years old. So she's 16 years old at this point. And I just thought
she's been through war.
Yeah, it just seems weird because she's portrayed as a lot older, looking older, everything than she is a child from that. I just thought that was weird when you look at just the look of her, the character of her. I mean, she's gone through a lot in those pieces of Rye, but it's interesting though when you look at the time frame. It seems like it has been more than years for us on our ends, right? But as far as when the time frame of this continuity in this book has only been like a year, so
yeah. I had not even thought about it, but I do think, like, I totally have forgotten about how old she even is. I mean, if you would have asked me, like, how old do you think she is, I would have been like mid-20s, just by the way she looks, the way she carries herself.
Yeah. Yeah, she was like with her family, all that stuff, 4001 back then. So yeah.
She is very young. But yeah, I mean, she's been through war that has aged her significantly. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with depicting her the way she is. And like I said, I'm super stoked that she called herself Spylock. That she is, because that's what I thought was happening way back when Matt Kint was still writing Rye. So to see that come full circle is awesome. And when Jeff Lemire created 4001 Bloodshot, I loved that character. I mean, that one shot is amazing. And him being taken over by Father and becoming Bloodfather is cool and all, but it made me bummed out that we lost out on the regular edition or regular version of 4001 Bloodshot, or 4002 Bloodshot rather. So knowing that, based on what's going on in this issue, that version of Bloodshot, that Ray Garrison personality, is still there, buried deep inside Bloodfather, and Spylock is going to help bring him out, is my guess. And so that's really exciting to me. Like, I'm definitely excited to see where that storyline goes. And then the other piece of this storyline is Rai and Raijin getting a human companion. And I think that that is really good for the interaction between Rai and Raijin. I can see the two of them by themselves, their interactions getting stale eventually. So before that had a chance to happen, bringing in another character to kind of bounce the two of them off of, I thought made a lot of sense. Yeah, I think that it's just a really well done book.
Yeah. So, like one thing that's really interesting to me about all of this is that the nanites that Project Rising Spirit have created are just so advanced, even in the year 4002, that they really have evolved into something beyond their means. Because I think this whole scenario where they're reaching out to someone who can bring back Ray Garrison or the Ray Garrison persona, I think it's actually really cool, And that little shot at the end where we see where Spylock finds Bloodshot, if that's what we can call him, and he's just like this faceless, he's like a skull face, and everything else is the same. But I really like where that's going, and I just hope it's not necessarily like a ploy, because at first when I see this kind of scenario happening in a comic book, I think, oh, this is like a trick. The bad guy's doing that trick to bring someone in to like fool them. I really hope that's not the case. Like, there's that part of me that wants to fanboy out a little bit and be like, no, it's going to be Bloodshot in the future. He's brought in. He gets to be himself again, or the nanites get to control him, and there's no more father. That's really what I want to see with it,
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But you definitely want to see that these nanites are coming to do good, right? They see that what Father's up to, and that the spirit, that whatever's left of Ray within the nanites is really pushing to be away from that. It's a cool internal story to help get rid of Father, which I think would be a great connection. Is it smoke and mirrors for something to come out? I definitely agree that kind of worrisome, but exciting nonetheless to have that, like, to that degree of continuity of 4002. Bloodshot come out. I think that would be great. I do like that the internal, like, back in with Spylock or Lula, whatever you want to call her, and what she's doing in that, and then these two storylines really work really cool. This new companion, just the internal art is really cool, where you're starting to see like the scarring of like the computer board type of look to her on her arms, her hands, up on her neck. I really dig the way the art team did that, because it's telling a lot of the story there subtly, and just continued the journey that Rai and Raijin are on, and where they're trying to go is, continues to be a fun, interesting journey. It throws some spoilers, teasers of the next book to come out too. We're going to get introduced to something new down the road. But there's that image of Bloodshot at the end is pretty damn interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of a jarring image. I was not expecting that, so I thought that was cool. The skull face Bloodshot. There's so much good about this book. And yeah, I really like that new character. For some reason, I am completely blanking on her name. Rai says her name a few different times. But I like that she's from
she's from New Japan.
She's from New Japan, but she was also one of the people who was infected by the nanotech and was there to murder at Hope Springs, was there to murder everybody. And I like that, Rai always thinks that he's doing the right thing for the right reason. But now he's kind of learning that there are consequences beyond logic, like beyond just the straightforward, single-minded, logical approach that he takes. And Raijin has been trying to tell him this, and he hasn't listened. And now he's kind of confronted with the reality of the fallout of his actions. He did that EMP wave, and then he just said, okay, take care of yourselves now, to all those people who had no idea where they were and what was going on. And he just said, fuck you, didn't really care. And now it turns out that, those people had value. They were, they weren't just nothing. So, yeah, I really like the dynamic between Ryan and Rajan, and I like it even more now that we have this other character in there to kind of, because Rajan has been kind of the human component between the two of them, but Rajan's not even actually fully human. And then now we've got this female character, this woman, who is a human and is going to be able to bring that, aspect.
By Hook.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, especially since Rai wants to be human, and I think Raijin, his programming was to make him more human, to be that bridge between positronics and humans. So it's good to have someone that kind of meets them both in the middle.
At times, Raishin reminds me of Tim 21 from Descender. Like, it's just like this is positronic, social boy. It's pretty cool. The element of this, though, when they were talking about the storms and everything, that they were going to a fallout shelter, was also intriguing. With the dark is what they called it, and then the nanite storm that happened, and it basically just decimated this area to where it was then, it's just, there's a lot going on in this story, and there's a big picture, big connections, and that's just, I hope we get more than just issue number 10, because I just feel like there's so much more to be uncovered and to be explored in this. And I'm, how can you not like the way that it's being done with Dan and Juan? So,
yeah. I mean, this is the perfect creative team on it right now. It looks amazing. It reads amazingly. It's a complex story. There are multiple interesting storylines going on at the same time, with characters that are, growing and evolving, and there are high stakes. There are actual stakes, on the line right now. Like, this isn't just, it's not a nothing story. This is what's happening in this book is extremely important for the future of the Valiant universe. And I really hope that it is able to continue, because we are getting such a great story. And like I said, it looks amazing as well. So hopefully we do get more beyond issue number 10. I have a hard time scoring this issue. I felt, I don't know, at the beginning of the issue, it felt a bit jarring. We just jumped in. It didn't feel new reader friendly to me. It felt like, this is going to read really well as a trade, but not necessarily so well as a standalone issue. One of the strengths, I think, of that first arc of Rai was we had those, standalone stories for those first few issues that were so phenomenally good. And I just don't feel like we have that right now. So that is the one thing that I think I'm missing in this Rai book. It's not bad by any stretch, but it's just not good in the same way that it was. So it's a little bit harder for me to score this. I'm going to go with, honestly, I feel like this is a really low score for this book, and I feel bad about it, but I got to be honest. I'm going to go with a 3.75 out of 5. I think that I could probably be convinced to bring that up to 4, but I do think that that's a reasonable score.
Hey, Eric, can you bring it to a 4?
All right. Yeah, it's a 4 out of 5. No, this is a really good book, and I don't want it to seem like I'm scoring it. I don't know. I just don't want to feel like I'm scoring it too low. But I don't think this is the best issue of the series. But I do think it is a good issue.
That's still a C+. It's still going to get a degree.
Yeah. I'm going to go her higher. I'm going to go to 4. I do think it's a little bit of a slower issue. It kind of feels like one of those issues in a storyline where a lot of stuff has to get explained, and then the next issue is when all the shit breaks loose. And I'm okay with that, but I don't score those issues very high. So I'm going to go a 4 on it. I don't know which part of this book I liked more, though. I liked all the stuff with Rai and Raijin, but Spylock and Bloodshot, Like it's just cool, you know. Not a lot of action in this. You know, we saw like a couple of like mutilated positronics. You know, like whatever it is that was the dark storm that hit them or whatever.
That was a badass page.
Yeah, it was. And you know what? Like, it's good to see some of that stuff because I really feel like we've talked about how it plays to Juan Jose Reed's strengths as a penciler, having like those gory pages, you know. But it's still a good issue. Like, to me, it's a 4. It's okay to have those kind of issues, you know. I'm not worried about like the series slowing down or anything like that. Like, I think Dan Abnett is like as good as anyone to write the character. I love Matt Kent's Rye. I enjoyed this book just as much as I enjoyed that one. And the thing that's been the really great thing about both of these series is that they both had just absolutely exceptional art to go along with such a great story. So it's a 4, but you know what? It's still good.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, on this, I could say sometimes there's no pleasing me because sometimes I hate when they have 2 artists doing 2 segments in this. But I think it would have played out really well. It would have played out to me a little bit better. You know, just because the tech background, at least to get another artist on the tech background or stuff, just going with a pixelated skeleton fill looked really, I didn't really like that all that much with the Lula scenes. It just seems like it's purposely pixelated in spots. And, you know, maybe it was the review copy I got in front of me, but there's parts of it where it does, you know, it's pretty apparent that it was pixelated.
It was supposed to be, though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, maybe another artist could have changed that background a little bit, and it would have fit basically their wheelhouse. Because I think Juan does so much great things, but just that's one of the things that I don't know. It was still great. I still enjoy his art. But that being said, I agree with you, Eric, on just not necessarily, maybe not a new reader friendly issue. What I thought about was, I guess it was the previous regime that used to do this a lot, where they would do the character bubbles at the beginning and they would give you like a briefing of who each were to get you ready for the story and where it's at. I felt like that might have been good. So if people didn't read the first Rye, they would have known who, you know, Lula is. They, you know what I mean? They would have had an idea who Raijin Rai is. I don't know, just to kind of get it to the back. And maybe this new character that were basically the ones that the Hook had embodied and that they had Hope Springs they had to free from their I don't know, power that was over them, I guess, at that time. But I'm going to be, I guess I'm right there with Josh on this one for the most part, is I give it a B. So that would be a 4.0. Yeah, I mean, ultimately still fun. I still think the ultimate of this story will be how the full pieces all tie together, not necessarily just this one issue, but I believe this issue sets up a lot, and it is a very vital issue that you could tell that's there to set up a lot of the future story. Oh, yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Wake up, Eric.
I'm reading YouTube comments, okay?
Okay.
I got YouTube comments going on. No, Scott was agreeing with Hoosier and, you know, missing those little character bio intros at the beginning of the comics.
Because Scott's a smart guy.
Yeah, I just think that one of the strengths that Valiant has relied on a lot in the past is how new reader friendly their books are. That any issue of a Valiant comic could be someone's first Valiant comic and they would understand what's going on. And I don't necessarily think that this issue hit that mark. Does that mean this is a bad issue? No. I mean, we all still gave it pretty high scores. We're all still stoked on the book. And I think that we would all still agree that this has been a bright spot for Valiant and comics in general, and is definitely something that I would recommend. Even if I wasn't a big Valiant fan, as big a Valiant fan as I am, I would still be recommending this book because I think it's phenomenal. So, yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a bad issue or anything. There are just a couple little nitpicky things that possibly could have been done better. I don't know that I'm going to go with you on wanting a different artist for those pixelated scenes, but I get where you're coming from on that, Hoosier, and I don't think you're completely off base or anything like that.
Good. You don't have to agree with me either.
Yeah, good.
Just say it. Nobody.
Yeah.
We don't all have to agree.
Yeah, you have to agree with me though.
That ain't funny.
Oh,
But yeah, dude, ultimately, it's continuing to be a progressing story that's getting to this, bring you more elements in, right? Having Spylock in, having, Bloodshot connected here. It's continuing to bring more in. And so that to me makes it exciting. And it's a fun read to the whole piece of the story when you're trying to invest in the story of where Rai and Raijin are. So
no, I'm with you for sure. I can't wait to see where it goes. And as we've already said, I just hope that issue number 10 is not the end.
I feel like they have to go a year. Like, I feel like we have to get 12 issues out of this.
At least.
Hopefully more, but
yeah. And then hopefully a little bit more after that. And then hopefully tie into something different that Dan will maybe do down the road with Valiant. And then we can see. I know that there was an announcement, and I don't know if we talked a whole lot about it, about how Bloodshot's coming to an end after number 10, I believe.
Number 12.
Number 12. So he did a full year, Tim Seeley, full year of Bloodshot, and it's kind of sad to see where that's at. And but I know that they're not going to be announcing a new Bloodshot until you get further down. But maybe something that we'll hear sooner than later, next month, following month, to kind of keep us fans at bay. Because I know we don't have Bloodshot. If Bloodshot's off the shelf for a while, we riot.
Yeah. I'm never happy when we don't have a Bloodshot book coming out.
Yeah, I've always felt like it's hard to keep these big characters off the shelves, and if you can't sell an Exo Manowar book and you can't sell a Bloodshot book, that's unfortunate, and I just feel like,
I mean, if that's kind of
you gotta have these bigger characters out there if you want to even have a chance of having the smaller characters make it, I think.
Yeah. And if that's the case, and they're having a hard time doing those two, I mean, what are your thoughts on the state of everything?
Well, it sounds like they still are doing good.
Okay.
That's the thing. I mean, like, I must not know anything about the way this industry works, and I've been a lifelong fan. I follow numbers and lots of boring shit on the back end, like whenever I can. And it's crazy to me that, like, it just feels like smaller publishers can keep putting out a book. They've got their fan base. Valiant, I think they do a lot better. I think they have better creators than some of these people. So I get that maybe the costs are a little bit different. But then we get like 11 issues of Shadow Man, and we're going to get 12 issues of Bloodshot. And I'm just like, man, like, I don't get it, like, why can't we have better? Why can't we do more? Why is it we just have to end a run when the writer changes?
Right.
I don't know. There's just a lot of little nitpicky shit things that I'm like, why can't we? Why can't we? Why?
But
again, I don't understand it.
I think I would fall on the other side of that, though. I think that it's a good thing for the title to be done when a writer is done telling a certain story, and then pick it up with a new title, a new version, when a new writer has a new vision that they want to explore. So I get that, and I would much rather have a new number one to signify a new direction, as opposed to a totally new direction start in issue 13.
Yep.
Dario says we need rich friends to help us buy Valiant.
That's true too.
I need rich friends. I don't know if that'd be my first thing, but I can use some rich friends, man.
Scott says the discussion brings us back to anthology books to keep, and I'm assuming that's so we keep characters getting published all the time. But that's the beauty of my pitch for a Unity book. right? And I don't need to go into it again, but that's what I think we need.
Yeah, agreed. Hoosier.
Isn't
Really,
that-
though, I mean, like, here's my thing. Like, as lame as it sounds, like, oh, we're losing another book at 12. I just feel like they're doing things that, to me, like Valiant's not acting like a company that's like having like a fire sale.
right?
You know, they're doing these things like I thought the thing where they're like their writer thing that they're doing with like new writers trying to get some new blood into the company. Like, I think stuff like that is absolutely great. And I mean, it's not going to get like a guy who reviews comics a job, but I know it's going to probably get someone who's maybe had a chance at writing comics. They haven't done much, a chance to have their voice told at Valiant. I just don't feel like a company that's like getting ready to go out of business is going to do that. I know that like relaunching the books is a great thing for the company too, because they get to have a chance with a lot of publishers or with a lot of shops to do like a variant. Those variants do very well for shops. Those variants do very well for Valiant. So I mean, it's not all doom and gloom for me, but I just wish I understood a little bit more of like the business side of the industry.
Well, when Matthew was on with us, he's not going to come on and say things are horrible and we're shutting down. But
yeah,
right.
He did seem to indicate that they're pretty satisfied with where things are at, and they have a bright outlook for the future. So hopefully,
here was something that I wanted to bring up earlier is, do we think Valiant is getting things positioned to do a big relaunch? Not a big reboot, but a big relaunch this next year. Because we know that they were supposed to have books like Ninjak and Harbinger. We were supposed to have a lot more going on with Exo Manowar. We were supposed to have Final Witness and Shadow Man. Like, we know that there's books that they definitely want to have out right now and those are just ones that we know about. And Savage. I'm sure that the way these companies go, they've got an 18-month plan of all the things that they want to do. And they have a board somewhere, or they have a file somewhere that shows, hey, this is what everything is going to be that's going to be published. I'm just wondering if like next year, they're going to be like, hey, we're doing 2 books a month this month, 2 books this month. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like, boom, we're doing 6. And we're going to make a big push. And we're going to get noticed. And we're going to do things to get readers. I kind of think like why not do it? Like next year, if things are looking good, I hope that they do something to get people to notice this company again.
Well, I know one thing that Matthew was talking about is that March is always a really big month for them. So I definitely expect to see a big launch in March, whether that's one new number 1 or a couple new number 1s. I think that would be great either way. But what I could totally see is them ramping the comic line back up with a new number 1 for several months in a row. Give us 4, 5, 6 months in a row where we're getting a new number 1 until we're back up to that 6 books a month, and then consistently putting out titles. So we get Savage number 1, Shadow Man number 1, Final Witness number 1, Ninjak number 1. Assume Harbinger is coming. We've got all of these books, and then it's somewhere in there they've got to finish Visitor. Somewhere in there, hopefully Dr. Tomorrow comes back. There's a lot of things that they could do. And I that was the way that Valiant launched. This iteration of the Valiant Universe launched was by doing new number 1s for 4 months in a row. If we can get 4, 5, 6 months in a row of new number 1s as kind of a new, like you're saying, like a new relaunch, freshen the line, give us new stories from new creators. We've got a bunch of new creators coming. Savage has new creators. Final Witness has new creators in the Valiant Universe. Shadow Man has Colin Bunn and what is it, John? I'm totally blanking on his name. The artist in Shadow Hunt. Yes. Yeah, phenomenal artist. Sorry, I am not great with names. But but yeah, I think that would look amazing. And then, who knows how much stock to put in it, but there is still talk of movies coming out. Now, I don't know if it's going to be 2021, but supposedly the Harbinger movie is in the works. And there is a possibility that we get another Bloodshot movie. Do we know that's going to happen? No, but I would definitely be on board.
I wouldn't kick it out of bed.
I don't know. I
That's
mean,
one
like,
way to put it.
I always feel like everybody gets mad when anytime that Dan Mintz gets interviewed, right? And then even like the fan base in the community is just like, oh, who can believe any of this shit? And I always feel like if I start just not believing in that dude, I might as well not even be here, because I like these things so much. I have to be optimistic about what's being presented. Not necessarily going to just like eat up every word that's said, but I have to remain optimistic just because I'm such a fan. So I mean, like, if they're saying 2021 for a movie, it seems kind of unrealistic. But what do I know? I don't know everything. Who knows how the world could change? But I don't know, man.
Right now would be the time to film, though. Downtowns are empty. Places are open. You know what I mean? To film.
Oh, yeah.
As far as setting up sets, right? Probably be able to get sets done on the cheap.
Probably get permits really easy if you want to film somewhere.
Yeah, less cops having to patrol it because people aren't around. I don't know. It could be pretty cool. Could be timely to do that. Obviously, with the way they're doing rapid testing on the COVID side, whatever that NFL is being able to work right now, I feel like what could prevent a movie from doing that in the same element, because they're almost in their own bubble of the movie when they're filming a movie for a couple months anyway. It is a bunch of work, but having rapid testing, it would suck if somebody got sick, because what would that do? But with that being said, that makes it exciting. Hearing about that, I know some productions are starting to be back and starting to, get into production as well. And, it's, again, hearing it, I really hope that it's not like the long term that we kept hearing about Bloodshot movie, where it was like in 2014, we were having rumors of the Sony, and then it was just little bitty leaks for a while, of everything. So I'm just hoping that it kind of goes up. I'm already doing it, but I don't want to do it anymore, of getting so hyped about it and, building it up, way ahead of time, and just have that anticipation just, plague the life.
Oh, I hear you. I feel like, this is like the 175th episode we've done. And we've had episodes that are just disappeared, that just got eaten by Eric's computer. And I feel like 90% of everything that we've ever recorded, we've said at least once, like, oh my God, the Bloodshot movie. So excited. Can't wait. We have nothing to talk about on it, really. But we'd just be so crazy about it. We're so hungry for it because it's going to be the first Valiant movie. And yeah, I almost feel like this time I'm like, we can't say anything until there's like news. We can't just have those segments where it's just like, oh, we're so excited for a Harbinger movie. Like, no, just, we got to pump the brakes.
Yeah, give us casting news. Give us, solid line on a director. Give us something concrete. And I think that's what we need. We need something concrete.
As Pete. Gets still. Actually, I would dislike that.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
But yeah, I mean, we've talked before about fan casting, and I'm sure it'll come up again.
Yeah.
I want to see a Harbinger movie. I want to see a Bloodshot sequel. I definitely want to see Bloodshot Island in a Bloodshot sequel. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think like if you could expand on the mythos, that's what you do when you have a sequel. You do something that makes what you saw before, you make it bigger. Bloodshot Island would be great. Even something with like hardcore, but then, I feel like so much of what they are ties into Harada, and we don't know if we're going to get that kind of connection in the movies. So it makes it hard to want to go that way. But I feel like there's a lot of pieces in the Bloodshot universe alone that you could just tell his stories, and you don't necessarily have to have everybody else. You don't need to have Ninjak. You don't need to have Shadow Man. It's great to have them because we're all fans of comic books. And I grew up on Marvel. I've known Marvel all my life. So like when I watch movies and like some random ass character pops up that I remember reading in like a couple issues when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like someone else was like, let's get this random ass character out there, But you don't need that with Bloodshot. You can have just like, you don't need to have like
You could have Bloodsport.
You can have Bloodsport. You can have the other Bloodshots. You can have PRS stuff. You know, you can have proper chainsaw. You know, we didn't really get that with the movie. You know, you could expand on that. You could expand upon like the Nevada base that PRS had with.
Well, they already
those
have chainsaw. Are we going to see? Hopefully, we see lawnmower next.
Whacker, weed whacker, lawn edger,
the hedger, yeah.
the tree trimmer. I need that guy at my house. So
That's right.
Universe. But I'm just saying, we don't need to have like all the big characters, even though it's so great. And there's always going to be that what if, because once you move one property to another studio and you have them split apart, there's always going to be that what if. That same thing that we've had for so many years with Marvel, where we're like, what if Spider-Man could be around the Avengers? And it took a long time. And then it was like, okay, now if we can just get the X-Men to be around the Avengers, you know, we don't have that yet still. I mean, like it happened and it will probably happen, but we don't have it quite yet. You know, there's still a lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
But, you know,
yeah.
I hate having the dream too much, you know, because it's like at some point you just want to have it be a reality a little bit and not everything just be like a make-believe thing in your head.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of what if, I think that there's a little bit more on that keeps it behind, or gives it a little bit more cred, is the Blowfish Studios video console games that are in the works. I'm hoping that something is told on that. I hope that the next month that's one of the news announcements, because it's fun to play with the characters in another medium. I know comics is what I love them in, but that's just being a fan of these characters. Having them in another medium makes it. So hopefully that's, you know, something that comes around the corner soon, you know, and that's kind of the realm we get. Because, I mean, right now is perfect time to be making video games, perfect time to be selling video games, you know. And then in the Facebook chat, we have Anthony says, you know, it's a perfect time for animated series right now to be in the works or in production. And let's get us, I mean, to me, get me that Adult Swim Quantum and Woody or Showtime something Quantum and Woody that's adult as can be. I think it would be fun. Super excited for something like that. But just being a fan, right? More comic books. We want to digest them. We want to see more of them. We want to see them in other elements and mediums too. But it's chomping at the bit when you're only getting 2 comics a week or a month. So
yeah. I know. I think right now, I had this conversation with my wife where I was like, it's just so hard right now because I want more of it, and I'm not getting enough of it. You know, like I want more Valiant stuff, you know, like we get 2 books a month and, you know, we just had the movie and it feels like it's just like, okay, the movie's done and there's nothing else. So it's just like, let's just wait for these 2 books every month. And it makes it hard. It's not a great time to be a Valiant fan for once, I feel like, you know, where it's like, I just need more. Give me more. I'm not getting that fix.
I feel like if you books directed at the existing fan base right now, I mean, I feel like you would be selling a decent amount of them and just kind of stick to that core and not try to go out of it right now. But I know that's not quite the direction that they're looking at right now. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. You know, I know from the little bit that I know about Bloodshot, it seems like there's a possibility that it won't be long after issue 12 before we start seeing something else coming up. Obviously, I don't know whether that's the case, but hopefully shortly after issue 12, we'll find out what's coming next for Bloodshot. Hopefully Rye isn't done with issue 10 and that continues. And then hopefully we get these awesome new books to come out. I'm so stoked for Final Witness. I think that is going to be amazing. That looks to me like a culmination of a bunch of different things that I really like, all being thrown together. You know, Shadow Man looks like it's going to be amazing. You know, we just need these books to come out, and when are they going to come out? We don't know. But if we can start getting these books coming out, and we're getting action figures, and we're getting video games, and we start getting movie news, that's when it's going to be a great time to be a Valiant fan again. And that's when we're all going to be so excited that we're going to be talking to our friends and getting new people into reading Valiant books.
Yeah. I think once we see that it's going up like a positive direction, you know, even if that's just 3 books a month, you know, it's like, feels like we're on the upswing.
yes. Yeah, and I completely agree. Great time. I would like to see some Valiant mask out and then not to wear the mask anymore. And COVID's over. It'd be a great time to be a human being again.
Yeah.
I wear it for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I really want to get like a ninja mask though.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I just want the goat. Give me one with the goat.
Yep. Get one that has the Harada mouthpiece and just put your phone in front of it and do that whole video from the
QR face mask. Come on, Valiant. Why haven't you done it?
Give us the QRs. Yeah, all the way around. Dig. But I think I'm glad the books that we do have. I'm glad we're getting Bloodshot. I'm glad we're getting Rye right now. That's
what I was.
Kind of the big piece.
I was just thinking the same thing, Hoosier. You read my mind. At least we are getting some books. 2 books is better than no books. And at least the books that are coming out right now are phenomenal. Bloodshot has been really good, in my opinion. Rye has been great. We got the end of Dr. Tomorrow, which was... Dr. Tomorrow was such a surprise hit. Can't wait for more of that. Hopefully that comes. And yeah, we just got to wait to see what comes next. And hopefully the fan base will stick around for whatever comes next. But yeah, Fred Van Lente. Yeah, hopefully Fred Van Lente's coming back. I would love if he's one of the mystery writers that they're teasing for an as yet unnamed project, but that remains to be seen. But this has been episode number 175 of Get Valiant. I want to say thank you to both Scott and Dario hanging out in the chat. Anybody else watching and listening, whether it's live or after the fact, we definitely appreciate you. Throw us a like on the video and a subscribe, and maybe hit the bell so you're notified next time we go live, and you can join in on the fun and be part of the conversation as we talk about all things Valiant. I believe the next book coming out is Bloodshot, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Bloodshot number 8.
And
number 9.
Hopefully, yeah, number 9. That sounds right. So Bloodshot number 9 will be the next book coming out, and we will definitely be here to talk about it when it drops. And hopefully everybody enjoyed Rye today, and we'll see you guys all next time. So signing off, I am Eric Baumgart.
And I'm Josh.
And I'm Hoosier. Go ahead, Eric. Tell him bye. Tell him bye. Just tell him bye.
Stay valiant, you jerks.